Hi there. I have a journal that's a little older. It's from 519, the first one of that day, and the Mayan day was 9 seed. How open are you to the change going on? Or is your attitude shutting it out? We can't help a little of that. It's how we were programmed, after all. Things get down into the subconscious mind and control us from there without our conscious knowledge. It's so strange, too, when you consider that, after all, it is our consciousness. We are in charge. Yet, until we can see what's at the core of how our life is running, well, we're a bit handicapped. It's very strange being both empowered and disempowered like that. And all of it due to the use of our free will. It's little wonder some get convinced that there is no such thing as free will. When you, or parenthetically, your buried beliefs, are working against yourself without even knowing it, well, of course, that hampers what you're trying to do. It's bizarre. Like all our false beliefs built up around money, and how that hampers us when we really want it or we think we do, but we have all these subconscious beliefs fighting against it. And it's no fun to be on that merry-go-round either. Most of us turn to prayer at some point, but then are disappointed in that as well. Nothing seems to help. So it's easy, too, to get caught up in the feeling that the world is against you and against anything beautiful and positive. And then that becomes a self-fulfilling belief, further stoking the fire under our frustration. What a mess! I'd like you to drop down into heart now. Just focus attention in the center of your chest and keep it there for a bit. Whenever it slips away, just calmly put it back. This way you can watch or read this journal, yet with focus in your chest. You have 2 ears, station one of them there. Don't worry about why, just do it to give this a chance. Give what a chance? Well, I'd like to share with you how we truly are in charge of our life, much more than we know. But since the blocks to that are all mind-based, listening from mind will block you from receiving all that's available in heart. First, give up the idea that you know what having free will even means. That's a big sentence, so it gets its own paragraph to highlight it. Some people, locked in mind, of course, think it means they should be able to have anything and everything they want. They put lots of energy into practicing what they understand of the law of attraction, pulling it out of the context, the natural matrix of the harmony of all cosmic laws. It's a pick and choose thing that is handicapped from the start. So, let go of all expectation from the start. That way is best. Mine doesn't think so, but it's time for you to take control of your life from the runaway mind. This is how we were taught and programmed to be, dominated by left brain's tyranny over our life. There's no shame nor anything wrong in it, beyond the fact that we get tired of it at some point. Then we're ready for change. This change I speak of is an overall sort of thing, not a pick and choose one. I believe in being as close to nature and natural as possible. And in nature, everything is entangled. All is one. Balance reigns in the healthy and empowered individuals. Have you noticed? Those who go off on the pick and choose route don't know that they're creating an imbalance that will seek to right itself at some point. What do I mean by that? Happiness and sadness are a pair, just like hot and cold. We tend to think of them as separate and distinct, but they are not. Just look at a thermometer. Hot and cold are just the poles on the very same thing. Well, replace them with happiness and sadness, and you'll see what I mean. Balance is key. If you go off seeking only happiness, then you're just building up an opportunity to experience the equal portion of sadness. Balance wins out in the end, whether we like it or we don't. Within heart, you have the doorway to exit duality, if you're brave enough to enter there. Everything will seem strange for a while. The internal kingdom's rules are quite different than anything we've been taught, and it's off-putting for a while. You feel off balance, as if you don't know up from down, right from left. It all seems rather backwards. Welcome to the paradox that seems present wherever wisdom is found. Human emotions come in pairs. So do ways of thought and belief. If you're overly introverted, that's extroversion that's afraid to show itself. Everything contains its opposite. That's at the heart of why the only light crew tends to fail. When you refuse to acknowledge or be aware of your very own dark side, you're setting yourself up to be forced into seeing it, and your higher self does the forcing. Now you're in charge of that, and that's what you're doing. Are you still in heart? Don't go to mind for any sort of solution to these things. You can do that later. Check this out totally in heart first. Patience and temper are another pair. At one extreme, you have something so overly patient that they won't even speak up for themselves. They put up with anything. At the other end is the one who blows his top at the least sign of frustration. Neither one is in balance. Neither one is a comfortable way to be. Here is my suggestion. Let's stop seeking perfection. It's a false goal. Let that whole thing go. It's a false ideal designed to fail. By being so thoroughly imbalanced that we only seek the high side of every scale, we set ourselves up for the low side to force its way into our awareness. The more we suppress or ignore it, the more intense it will get. It isn't avoidable. It's just the natural balance of things seeking to exert itself. It's actually beautiful, but we don't generally see it like that until we're shown. Why not? Simply due to the way we've been programmed to believe just the opposite. Our beliefs are in control of what we see to a very great extent. Each belief comes with its own peculiar set of blinders. Most of us are heavily burdened with unnecessary and detrimental beliefs. Yet we don't know this. We're unaware of it simply because of where the bulk of our beliefs are stored. Those formed in early childhood and so on are in the subconscious area of mind. So we don't have conscious access to them. It takes something happening in our life to trick their trigger so they show up. Life lovingly does that for us all the time, but we don't generally see it that way. Due to our beliefs, we see only frustration and negativity instead of the deeply loving workings of life. How are you doing so far? How much resistance do you note in yourself? In addition to centering in heart, it's also important to keep your focus only on self. Whenever our focus is out there, on the world and anything in it, we've shifted to mind. Mind is the right tool for dealing with the outer world. That's what it's for. for self-exploration like this, stick with heart. Also, while you're self-observing, don't try to change anything. If you see self-engaged in something you don't particularly like, leave it alone. Observe means observe. It doesn't mean change. Just watch. You'll understand why later, but for now, give it a chance. Just look and don't do anything else. If you note self doing what you don't approve of, as you're watching that, look to its core. Look underneath. See what's behind it. What motivates that? What need does it fill? And then just keep watching. Now this is very active watching, not dozing off. Okay, so far this likely presents some new things to do with free will. Put a circle around self, extend it out just beyond 9 or 10 feet, and let that be the boundary within which you work. Your free will does not apply to someone else. You're not in charge of them any more than you want them in charge of you. If you're a people-pleasing type, then have a good look at that. You're not being true to yourself. Many people want to be saved from the mess they see in the world. They don't want to be here anymore. It's so terrible. That's what they see. And they automatically take their beliefs around that to be true. Well, it's time to start watching our beliefs really closely. Don't trust them anymore. Don't believe every thought. Start looking at your thoughts a bit more skeptically. One thing that seems to happen to everyone as they're waking up is to discover a great disappointment in the world. It seems like we've been lied to every way possible. It turns out that nothing, simply nothing, is trustworthy. Yet, you know how many of those lying things we've been taught to trust. So this part of waking up is a real hurdle. Don't be one of the ones that just decides to close their eyes again after uncovering some particularly ugly part of the deceit. Some people would just rather not see. They don't know that the seeing is mandatory at some point. One thing we are awakening from is all the lies and deceit. It may be the first thing we see as we're waking up. The challenge there is that most don't know about their internal kingdom, their refuge here in heart. That's the place to go, not just every time you're newly disappointed in something, but simply every time you think of it. Stay in heart as much as you can. You'll find a new inner strength there. Plus, it's intuition central. The focus or home of our intuition is based in heart. So how are you now? Are you watching yourself for resistance? Just be aware. I'm not saying to do anything about it, remember, just watch. If you'll just keep watching things, you'll be surprised at the good that will come of it. But you've got to be faithful. So just watch. Now back to free will. The full extent of your free will is you. You are the only one you're in charge of, the only one you control. So take a very good look at everything that makes you think it's okay or even right to control someone else. That breaks cosmic law. At this stage, you don't have to do anything about it at all. Just look, just see. Until we see things, we're in no shape to bring about change of any kind. It's because we're blind to so very much that we're in the miserable shape we're in. The truth is that we're quite powerful. far more so than almost anyone, including me, yet believes. We're even divine. Yeah, divine. Yet, who among us will step up to this and take a really deep look? We've been trained to fear such things. We worry about ego and such. Do what you can to let all of that go. One thing you can do while observing the self is to make choices about what you choose to believe. This is more powerful than you might know. Parenthetically, in heart, you know everything, of course, since it's the place of our overall oneness. Yet, until that inner knowing becomes outer, we remain self-handicapped. So, it's time to make a choice. I present to you a whole new attitude for your examination. It's one of surrender, one of letting things go. We start out by letting go of the idea that we are the body. Bye-bye, idea. The next one is a bit trickier. It's to let go of identifying so much with the mind. You are not that. Just because you have a mind doesn't mean you are one, any more than you are your foot. Yet, when the idea is new, that you've identified with the mind, it's rather shocking. It seems very strange to even consider that you are not that. You're used to believing every thought, right? Get a good look at that at work. Self-observe. It's the only way I know of to begin to disentangle from mind. And while you're at it, do notice how much of it is left brain based. Yes, that's how we've all been trained. Now remember, there's no shame in any of this, not one bit. The time is right now to stop letting mind criticize self. Just call a halt. It's a use of your free will. No more self-judgment and self-condemnation. Just say no. You can do it. As you watch that choice begin to take effect, it will highlight for you just how much you've been lost in believing the mind. When mind is put in charge of the life, it becomes a bit of a tyrant. And it happens within all of us. We've got loads of company, so lighten up on yourself. One of our goals is self-love. Really coming to love the self in a way that's divine. We wouldn't treat our dog or our child the way we treat the self. Just imagine if every thought of yours was playing on a loudspeaker. Become self-aware. Now, how are you doing? Keep checking in and keep centering too. Make it a habit, and my bet is that it'll be the best one you ever took on. It takes a bit of time and persistence since we're an outward-focused society. Still, we can do it, and it's an excellent use of free will. Mastering self, that's what we're after here. And it's a mighty big task, too, because, frankly, we don't even know what self is. So it's rather hilarious. I hope you have a good sense of humor. I do, and it helps. When you learn to laugh with good nature at the self, you'll know you've made good progress. Progress in what? In loving the self. The world, the cosmos, is made in such a way, at least in the free will universes, for there are many other kinds, that what appears outside is the product, the result of that which is within. This is another one of those new ideas for many. It's a profitable one to adopt. Try it on and check it out. Your whole world is a direct reflection of you. The next thing to do is train the vision so it can begin to see this. All of our work for a while will be with our beliefs, including the ones that were programmed in when we were tiny. Those form the basis for some of our strongest beliefs. And they're really just programming. Like everything else we're discovering is made up of so many lies, so are our beliefs. Overall, they're no good. Those are harsh words, I know. Stay in heart with them. Right now, your beliefs are not your friends. They are that which limits you. They control what you see, what you can see, even. For every belief we adopt, we cut something else off. It's how beliefs work. They're helpful, but they're limiting. This is also why the world seems to take from us our free will. This is only a seeming based on many wrong assumptions. That's what I found. But it comes in as a thought, and we're trained to believe thoughts are ours and that they are right. So right from the first, we've got our hands full in what we're tackling here. Well, that's okay. As divine beings, we are up to the challenge, to any challenge. Besides, the more time you spend focused in heart, the more of that beautiful calmness, that calm, quiet joy you'll tune into. You won't be so easily upset anymore. You'll begin to wonder what it was in this or that used to upset you so much. You'll find yourself detaching from many beliefs, and that's a really good thing. So again, stay out of mind with this. Mind will have endless questions seeking answers. Now, that's a game, believe it or not, that you don't need to play. It's time to start taking charge of mind, taming it, putting it in its proper place as a servant of ours, not our master. How's that for a new concept? It's the first steps in stepping back from being identified with mind. You've got to separate out from it before you can fully realize that it isn't you and that it's not in charge unless you allow that. Use your free will. I hope that there have been some new opportunities to see the world in different ways here. Our focus has been on free will, but even more just on self. It's time to pull it in. The great lasso we threw upon our own personal world. We overextended. We're in charge of nothing but self. That's what integrity will tell you. If you listen, be within. And I'm going to put a PS on here. I'm not against mind. It's just that mind is a 3D thing, and I'm ever seeking transcendence. And so it's just a matter of flipping places. Mind has been in charge, and now I want heart in charge. Mind is not a negative thing. It's just not the right tool for every job. Good day.